Hey everyone, CJ here, and we're back with another trailer breakdown reaction thingy that I do. But this time we'll be talking about the new gameplay trailer from Insomniac's Marvel's Spider-Man 2, or as I like to call it, Spider-Man PS4 2 on the PS5. So let's get right into it. I was watching the PlayStation game show live last week, as of the recording of this video, and when this trailer finally showed up at the end of the show, I thought it was a completely different game, and I felt so bad. I didn't realize it was Spider-Man until Big Bad Sergey, or should I say Kraven the Hunter, showed up. That's when it hit me, oh, we're definitely getting Spider-Man. And with him here, we can obviously tell that he's going to be one of the main villains in this game. Too bad for my Moreland theory. And his new modern design for the Insomniac Spider-Verse is so cool. You can obviously tell his classic look is showing up here while still giving a new modern twist to him. And his goons and militia forces look pretty cool too. I like that everyone keeps the same aesthetic and color scheme. Looks pretty great. After some dialogue between Kraven and one of his goons, we find out that he's getting bored of hunting the same kind of game, and he wants a newer challenge, in which one of his henchmen points out that New York is full of superhuman targets that he can potentially get his hands on. And the same henchman pulls up this little data pad that starts to bring up all the superhumans in New York that we at least know about in this Insomniac Spider-Verse. And the way that all the targets are displayed on this map is actually pretty cool. We first start off the list with Black Cat and Prowler, and then we see Wraith, who I completely blanked out on until I saw the trailer a second time and then realized that Yuri Watanabe has already begun her vigilante era. Because if we remember from the last time we saw her back in City That Never Sleeps Chapter 2, Turf Wars, she went off the deep end after the whole Hammerhead situation. And then of course in Silver Linings, she already started her vigilante run. And with her new look and new hairstyle, it looks pretty cool. It's not certain how long it's been between games, but I'm sure that with Wraith here, she's been taking up this mantle for quite some time. And I wonder if we're going to have to deal with her and her anti-hero work as a part of a string of side missions. It'll be very interesting, especially with the kind of Peter that we have in this game. And then as the list continues, we see Tombstone, and then of course Spider-Man and Spider-Man. Which begs the question if Miles, depending on how the story is going to go, and with all the dramatic plot points these two are going to go through, we'll see if Miles ends up getting his own spider name by the end of the game. The list caps off with showing Kingpin, the Shocker, Taskmaster, and the Lizard, which we'll see later. But an interesting thing about this is that we could be seeing Kingpin back, but the more important little details is maybe we'll get some more Taskmaster missions, or he'll be a part of the plot. And Shocker is an interesting addition, especially with the whole symbiote situation that we'll be having. Plus his power set would be pretty good to use against symbiote Spider-Man. And of course, it brings up the small matchup they had during the symbiote saga in the 90s animated series, which also brings up the meme of Spider-Man chasing Shocker up the bell tower. And with the new map and cast of characters, we're all set for the story. We cut back to New York months later, possibly sometime around the beginning of the game story. We cut to Kraven's militia pulling up at either the Parker residence or Dr. Connor's home. And then it begins. We get our first look at the symbiote suit. But before we get our actual first look, when Peter starts bursting out from the basement doors, we can see the Venom symbiote lashing out with its tendrils, which creepily enough look like spider legs to me. We get one last look at the advanced suit before the Venom symbiote takes over, which makes me think that this is going to be the first time that the Venom symbiote attaches itself to Peter. And then we finally see the first official look to the symbiote suit. And man, does it look awesome. Just kidding. I really found it funny when the suit is trying to settle in and take up the signs of the suit itself. But seeing it all blobby like this was actually kind of funny and cool to see how the symbiote settles in on Peter's suit. But when we finally see the suit, it looks so amazing. I understand the dislikes some people have about the suit, but I still find it kind of cool. It is kind of different from the classic alien costume that we all know and love, but I do find it kind of interesting how they change it up in the Insomniac version. Well, with the slimy, wet texture, it looks like it has some slight shoulder pads or shoulder guards, and then how some parts of it you can see like the more tentacle-y parts of the symbiote. But the symbol always looks great, and the eyes too. Can't have the black alien costume without those two. And when we see the HUD, once the gameplay starts, we see that it's completely different with brand new colors, designs, and 2 new power menus, which seems like the one on the right is your standard web abilities, and the one on the left is entirely Venom abilities. That's me right there when I saw the trailer for the first time. Whatever ability this is going to be looks so sick. I like how the tendrils all form up and look like crazy spider legs. It looks so creepy and so cool at the same time. These new symbiote abilities are so dope, but they're so brutal at the same time too. I mean, look at this. It also makes for some dope shots as well. And the Venom suit, but it's so slippery and so gooey. It looks pretty crazy with the new textures now. We see that Kraven and his forces have mechanical dogs, which will make for a pretty cool enemy subtype to face. These new Venom combos are so menacing and so insanely cool. But this one in particular, the rapid kicks, man. And is he kicking him in the groin? This multi-takedown one is pretty sick, since the Venom symbiote just goes ham on these guys. And something to note, since we're in the suburban area, it does demonstrate that the game map will expand past the same New York City map that we've always been to in both the original game and Miles Morales game, which is a pretty good fresh breath for this game, and a nice touch for the new visuals too. And with this, it pretty much confirms what we all hoped for, being able to switch between Peter and Miles. But it begs the question that at some point when Peter goes too far in the deep end, are we just going to be Miles for the rest of the game? That would be a pretty cool idea for this sequel, that it makes us believe we'll be switching between the two, but then it ends up being a more Miles-focused story, trying to save Peter from his dark intentions and influences from the Venom symbiote. And then when we switch to Miles, we're off. And we see cool new visuals for the way that the calls between characters work, with a bigger portrait and new minimap display. And then to our surprise and joy, we get spider wings! Miles has spider wings! It's going to make traversal so much fun, since now we can do zip linings and air tricks, and now even using the spider wings is just gonna make it so much cooler. Can't wait to see all the photos people take. And much like the first trailer, we can tell that Miles' suit is slightly updated from his previous look in his own game, which with more red, it does make his suit go from a 10 to 11 for me. And then when we cut over to Miles' gameplay, I do appreciate that his heads-up display is completely different from Peter's, which makes sense since in Miles' his own game, it was completely different from the first game, which gives Miles his uniqueness and his own character, even within the gameplay standard. But much like his own game, I wonder if we'll be able to customize the HUD as well. Only time will tell. But speaking of the HUD, we can also see that he has his standard web abilities and his own Venom Strike abilities too. So dope that we get more takedowns like this double takedown. It's so cool. It's super dope that this time around, Miles' electricity goes from a yellowy, orange, red to white and blue. I'm very biased when it comes to blue because blue is my favorite color, but this looks so cool. I wonder if it has a narrative meaning to the change of color, or just so that it stands out even more. Or if this is a different kind of electrical ability he has developed over time. We shall see. Hey bro, why you gotta hit me in the nuts like that? Like, shit. Sorry about that, but take an electrical Kame. What's a cool and exciting welcome to the game is having Genki be a part of the team in which he hacks a drone, like this falcon-looking thing, and he joins Miles on his adventures. It makes it for some pretty cool ideas, having both Miles and Peter teaming up with Genki through this drone, making for a pretty cool team dynamic. When Peter breaks through the building, this shot of all the tendrils like surrounding him looks so sick, because you can tell the suit is going majorly evil here in this shot, and the fact that you don't even see it and just as a silhouette was a pretty cool thing to see. Can't wait to see what it actually looks like when it's going haywire. Miles asking Peter if it's a new suit does and tell that this may in fact be the first time that the symbiote takes over Peter's suit. Which begs the question how insanely fast it went from positive Peter to Sasuke Peter in a blink of an eye. But we'll just all see how the story progresses as the Venom symbiote slowly takes over Peter until he and Miles and Genki have to deal with it later. Man, it looks so sick. Since when does the black suit not look cool? And once the lizard reappears, it's off to a chase. I still hope the theory of Harry being the one that's going to become Venom is still going to be true by the end of the story, but with Peter saying that Harry is dying, and of course he's the one with the symbiote at the moment, it does beg the question how we're going to transition from the end credit scene of Miles' game, in which we see Harry Osborn being awake from his father, to how the Venom suit leaves his body and finds his way to Peter. And what's the state of Harry even in this story? We'll just have to wait and see. This action sequence is so cool, and it's so great to see how Insomniac incorporated gameplay mechanics into the cutscene. It's so awesome to see. And a smooth transition from Miles gameplay to Peter gameplay. And can't stop complimenting this suit. But I will say it is kind of interesting to see how they change the pattern on the wrist from being the traditional white square to the white arrow, which completely fits with how the Insomniac advanced suit is. And yes, not only do we also get the spider wings on Peter, but they're symbiote spider wings. So they look completely different and they look pretty eerie. Well, with the tendrils and all, but it looks pretty sick too. I like how the Venom web looks different from the standard webbing, and how it works in the way that it intertwines with itself. I wonder if it still comes out of his wrist though. Like, the top of it, I mean. Like how it is in the comics and the cartoon shows as well. When this scene first started playing, I thought it was still a part of the cutscene, but then I didn't realize that it was the actual gameplay, which is going to be sick. It just demonstrates just how great the Insomniac team is at crafting their games, plus how smooth of a transition games are having between cutscene and gameplay. And when we finally get a good look at the lizard, oh man, he is a big boy. His design is pretty cool, and it reminds me of the very horrific and grotesque Ultimate version from the comic. Good thing Miles pressed circle there, but I wonder what's going to happen if you don't press it in time. You're going to get whacked by the lizard. The following sequence is pretty cool, trying to maneuver through the damage being done by the lizard and saving people, but this Team Ultimate Attack was the greatest part of the whole sequence. I really hope we get to do more of this in the actual gameplay segments throughout the story. It was really awesome to use everyone's abilities. Granted, Genki is using a drone, but still, the fact that he was able to maneuver around everything was pretty sick. And of course, you can't go wrong with the Venom tendrils. It's pretty obvious from the scene, what with Peter throwing down the guy and not checking up on him immediately after saving him. Miles can already tell that something's wrong with Peter. Understandably, with the Venom suit on, Peter is ignoring Miles' concerns, since Peter's only focused on the mission in an aggressive way with the influences from Venom. And can we just appreciate the shot of these two together? Oh man, it would be so dope if Venom gets on Miles for like a part of the final conflict. But even if he doesn't, that's still cool, because Miles in this game seems like the moral compass for Peter as he's dealing with his negative influences from the symbiote. This shot where the eyes change is so sick, and we can obviously tell that Venom's getting a great influence over Peter very quickly. And with Miles and Genki expressing their concerns for Peter, that brings an end to the gameplay trailer. The logo looks so sick. And it's pretty awesome how it transitions from the symbiote taking over to an electrical explosion dispersing it. It's cool to see the slogan go from be greater to be yourself, and now be greater together. And with the tendrils surrounding together and then Miles' electricity dispersing it, it does beg the question, or at least whether it'll be confirmed, that Miles will definitely have to fight Peter as either the sub-boss or the penultimate boss and free Peter from the symbiote, which is going to be a super dope fight. Like, can you imagine if you still have to switch between the two? Or if it's like a choose your fighter story that ends in the same result, where it's either you playing as Peter with the Venom fighting Miles, or Miles versus Peter with the Venom symbiote? And at the end, they both get rid of it. That'll be so awesome. We should have known that it was going to be releasing fall of this year, which makes sense since it's going to be the 5th year anniversary of the first Insomniac Spider-Man game. But we should also predict whether or not there's going to be a delay or not. Which I really hope there's no delay, because then it'll be perfect if it does still release on the 5th year of the first Insomniac Spider-Man game. Can't wait to play it. And especially pre-order it too, for all the pre-order goodies, which I hope will be releasing soon. And with that, the video comes to an end, and man, I can't wait to see more and more of this game as the year goes by, until we hit fall 2023 when the game releases. My mind just keeps filling with all these theories and hopes for this game, but I'm pretty sure you all have some great ideas too. So why don't you write it down in the comment section below? I'm really curious with what ideas and hopes you'd like to see in the game when it releases. And hey, if you liked the video, why not drop a like on this video? And if you want to check out some of my other stuff, you certainly can, and consider subscribing to the channel too. Your support is a big help. And if you want more stuff that's not on YouTube, you can also check out my Instagram page using the link below. But with that, I'll catch you all in the next video, especially the next Spider-Man trailer breakdown. And with that, I hope that everyone continues to have a great day. See you next time. Bye-bye for now. Oh, sorry. And understandably, with this Venom soup...
It's Venom time.